work. Oh, that's right.
Electricity and cars only work because of Elebits, you know.
The world's use of renewable energy is increasing every year as we turn to naturally replenished sources like the sun and the wind for our power needs. But, in our haste to go green, we're overlooking an even more potent source of natural energy. As it turns out, just a few Elebits can power an entire home. So I propose no energy policy be drafted without considering the staggering potential for clean power harnessed by the Elebits. Developed and published by Konami, Elebits was one of the most unique Wii games to release within the first few weeks of the system's 2006 launch, and it was a notable release for a few reasons. It was the first game to utilize the Wii's online capabilities by allowing players to send their own screenshots to their friends, as well as levels they'd created in the game's fully online level editor. Not even Nintendo had taken those steps on its own console at that point, and one could argue with one or two exceptions, they still really haven't. Another reason Elebits garnered attention was its use of the Wii Remote. The game released at a time when there were at least a few developers who believed in the Wii's potential for innovation in gameplay, and based on product, few held that belief stronger than Konami. Elebits is a game that simply couldn't be done without the Wii Remote, and it was one of the first games to prove the system's ambitious control concepts really could provide unique experiences. In terms of concept, Elebits is sort of a mixture of Half-Life and Pikmin. Armed with a gravity ray called a capture gun, you explore domestic environments like your house, your yard, and your neighborhood for little creatures called Elebits. They hide beneath couches, inside cabinets, under the bushes, and it's your job to find them, zap them, and collect them. The hook is that the Elebits, as we discussed in our brief legislative dialogue at the onset, are electrically charged. Indeed, they power everything in the game world, and the link between their energy and your pursuit is what the game is built upon. The more Elebits you collect with your capture gun, the more energy you restore to your environment. So as you play, you'll notice lights and appliances turning back on, and if you look closely, you'll find a lot of them are hiding even more Elebits. For example, a lamp without power can be turned on once more electricity is restored, and by doing so, the electric jolt may shock a massive group of Elebits hiding inside the lamp and force them to pop out like popcorn, leaving them ripe for the picking. There are plenty of electricity-based puzzles and hiding places in which you can find Elebits, and they get pretty clever as the game progresses. And you'll need to really explore those possibilities and look everywhere for Elebits, because you're usually on a timer and a quota of power you need to collect in each level. Indeed, your game is over unless you can collect 1.21 gigawatts. Fortunately, the game's interesting concept is paired with a smooth control scheme. Elebits controls a lot like a first-person shooter as you move with the nunchuck's analog stick, but it's the interaction with your environment afforded by the Wii Remote which makes its controls really stand out. You can aim at Elebits with pixel-perfect precision thanks to the remote's pointer, and fire your capture gun with either the A or B button. And often you'll have to do things like open a door by twisting your Wii Remote like a doorknob. The motion controls are subtle and they're never overdone, but moments like that add to the immersion Elebits offers thanks to its intuitive controls. Physics also play an important role in Elebits, as perhaps at its core, the game is really just a physics sandbox for you to play in. You can grab virtually anything you see with your capture gun and either gently set it aside, or of course, throw it across the room. That has a practical purpose, as there are often Elebits hiding beneath things, but it also has a less practical appeal rooted firmly in the ethos I learned from Bay Area thrash in the 1980s. Seek and destroy. As much as I admire the great controls and unique concept featured in Elebits, Konami's Wii debut was also held back by a few problems. The The graphics are really bland, which is in jarring contrast to the great art style on display in the game's static cutscenes.
Are you okay? Your mom and I are looking into what has been happening around the world.
And speaking of those cutscenes, they use some of the worst voice acting I've ever heard in a video game. Really, it's bad on an epic scale, perhaps comparable to even, "What is this?" and "Don't open that door." You guys should know the reference.
Break season. Now, I'm busy. Gotta go.
Huh? Dad isn't going to come home? Isn't he worried about me? Huh? What's that sound?